In July 2024, a wall was subjected to 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 minutes at an Intertech testing lab in Pennsylvania. The test was funded by a $1.9 million U.S. Army grant. The far side of that wall never rose a single degree above room temperature. The wall was not made of concrete, not steel, not brick. It was made from a plant mixed with lime. The same lime the Romans used to build structures that have lasted 2,000 years and get stronger every century. That plant was illegal in America for 81 years, classified alongside heroin. The U.S. government made a propaganda film in 1942, begging farmers to grow it, then denied the film ever existed for nearly 5 decades. It is now legal. It is now in the U.S. Building Code, and almost nobody knows it exists. The Romans figured out the secret to permanent buildings 2,000 years ago. It wasn't the concrete, it was the lime. In January 2023, MIT professor Admir Masik published a discovery in Science Advances that changed how we understand Roman construction. The tiny white specks found throughout ancient Roman concrete, previously dismissed as evidence of sloppy mixing, were actually deliberate. They are lime clasts, reservoirs of reactive calcium embedded throughout the structure. When cracks form, water dissolves the calcium, flows into the gap, and recrystallizes as calcium carbonate, limestone. The concrete heals itself. The chemistry is simple. Calcium hydroxide absorbs carbon dioxide from the air and converts to calcium carbonate. Lime absorbs carbon and turns back to stone. This is why the Pantheon still stands, why Roman harbors survived 2,000 years of salt water, and why Pliny the Elder wrote in 79 AD that Roman concrete becomes every day stronger. This same chemistry, lime carbonation, does not require volcanic ash. It works with plant fiber, specifically one plant. Hemp hurd mixed with lime binder and water produces a biocomposite called hempcrete. 1/7 the weight of standard concrete, fireproof, carbon negative, and it gets harder every year through the exact same process that makes Roman concrete indestructible. A 1,500-year-old bridge in France was built with hemp and lime. It still stands. The Merovingian Bridge at Saint-Cénary-le-Guéret in Normandy was constructed around 500 AD with mortar containing more than 10% hemp. It has survived Viking invasions and 2 world wars. German soldiers wired it with explosives during the Second World War, but removed them before retreating. 1,500 years later, it still carries traffic across the Sarth River. At India's Ellora Caves, archaeologists from the Archaeological Survey of India confirmed cannabis sativa in 6th century lime plaster using electron microscopy. The plaster contained 10% cannabis in the mix. A 1727 Indian construction manual described a composite of brick dust, lime, molasses, and cut hemp as harder and tougher than firm stone. The principle has been proven for 15 centuries. Lime plus hemp equals stone. But in 1937, one country decided to make the plant illegal. In 1937, a man who had previously dismissed fears about cannabis as an absurd fallacy reversed his position because he needed a new enemy. His name was Harry Anslinger. He was the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. He was appointed by his wife's uncle, Treasury Secretary Andrew Mellon, who was then the wealthiest man in America. After alcohol prohibition ended in 1933, Anslinger needed a new target to justify the Bureau's existence. He deliberately used the Spanish word marijuana instead of cannabis or hemp to associate the plant with Mexican immigrants. His testimony to Congress included the claim that marijuana is the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind. The Marijuana Tax Act took effect on October 1, 1937. The American Medical Association opposed it and was overruled. Industrial hemp, a crop ancient civilizations built with, that the U.S. Navy depended on, and that George Washington grew at Mount Vernon, became effectively illegal overnight. A building material that had survived 1,500 years of wars, invasions, and weather could not survive American drug policy. 5 years after banning hemp, the United States government made a propaganda film begging farmers to grow it. Then the government pretended the film never existed. December 1941, Pearl Harbor. Japanese forces seized the Philippines and cut off America's supply of Manila hemp. The military needs rope, parachute webbing, and shoe thread. There is no domestic substitute. In 1942, the USDA produced Hemp for Victory, a 14-minute film urging American farmers to grow hemp as a patriotic duty. The opening line said long ago, when these ancient Grecian temples were new, hemp was already old in the service of mankind. The government provided free seeds, built processing mills, and offered draft deferments. Farmers planted up to 400,000 acres. Kentucky alone produced 60 million pounds of fiber in a single year. The war ended. Hemp imports resumed. Prohibition was reimposed, and the government denied the film ever existed. For 47 years, the USDA Library and the Library of Congress told anyone who asked that no such movie was made. In 1989, activists donated VHS copies to the Library of Congress. In May 1990, the original reels were located at the National Archives. The last commercial hemp crop in America was planted in Wisconsin in 1957. In 1970, Richard Nixon signed the Controlled Substances Act, classifying all cannabis, including industrial hemp with negligible THC, as Schedule 1 alongside heroin and LSD. His own advisory commission recommended decriminalization. Nixon ignored it. His senior advisor, John Ehrlichman, later admitted the drug war was designed to disrupt political opponents, not to protect public health. For 81 years, no American could legally study what hemp and lime could do together. But France never banned hemp. France never banned hemp. In 1986, a French artisan was asked to repair a 400-year-old building. What he mixed into the walls changed construction forever. Charles Rossetti was commissioned to restore the Maison de la Turque, a 16th-century timber-framed house in Nogent-sur-Seine in northeast France. To fill voids in the ancient oak frame, he mixed hemp hurd from the local cooperative with a lime binder and cast it directly into the walls. That was the first modern hempcrete. That infill has lasted nearly 4 decades. It was reported in excellent condition as of 2024. The first commercial hempcrete product was recognized at a French building trade show in 1993. Since then, more than 250 homes have been built with hempcrete in France. Professional building rules updated in June 2024 now allow hempcrete construction up to 33 meters high. In the UK, the Haverhill test houses, built in 2001, performed better than predicted, staying 1 to 2 degrees warmer than identical brick homes for the same energy input. While France and Britain built with hemp, the United States could not legally grow the plant. It weighs 1/7 as much as concrete. It survives fire that would melt aluminum, and the longer it sits, the harder it gets. The 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit fire test in Pennsylvania earned a 1-hour fire resistance rating. The first full-scale TME 119 test, ever performed on hempcrete. Separately, surface burning tests scored a flame spread index of 0 and a smoke developed index of 0. Those are the lowest possible scores. A Class A fire rating. The testing lab reported hempcrete performed comparably to mineral wool, the only other material they had seen score that well. Hemp absorbs 8 to 15 metric tons of carbon dioxide per hectare during its 4-month growing cycle. After all manufacturing emissions are subtracted, hempcrete walls still sequester 110 to 165 kilograms of carbon dioxide per cubic meter. Carbon negative. For context, cement manufacturing produces 8% of all human carbon dioxide emissions, 1.56 billion metric tons per year. Hempcrete absorbs carbon. Concrete emits it. A 12-inch hempcrete wall delivers 24 to R30 insulation. It regulates moisture automatically, maintaining indoor humidity between 40 and 60% without a vapor barrier. Lime's alkalinity, pH 12, kills mold and resists termites. And through carbonation, the lime slowly converts the hemp fibers into calcium carbonate. An Italian demonstration wall exposed to the elements for 7 years became as hard as stone. The same chemistry that makes Roman concrete self-heal makes hempcrete petrify. For 81 years, America could not even study this material. The industries that filled the gap do not want you to know it exists. The global insulation market is worth $60 to $70 billion. It is dominated by a handful of corporations. Fiberglass insulation used formaldehyde-based binders for decades. Formaldehyde is classified as a known human carcinogen. In a single year, U.S. and Canadian factories released nearly 600,000 pounds of it. Spray foam insulation is 100% petrochemical. The 4 largest suppliers faced a $90 billion whistleblower lawsuit alleging they concealed the dangers of isocyanates for more than 20 years. The global cement market is worth $400 to $530 billion. Portland cement replaced lime-based construction in the 1920s, not because it was better, but because it set faster, hours instead of weeks. It requires less skilled labor, and it enables mass production. But it is rigid. It traps moisture, it cracks, and it produces 8% of all human carbon dioxide emissions. A church in Roanoke, Virginia, has not been repointed in over 120 years using its original lime mortar. Lime self-heals. Portland cement does not. Hempcrete threatens both industries at once. A carbon-negative, fireproof, self-hardening wall material made from a plant that grows 15 feet in 4 months. Fewer than 100 hempcrete homes exist in the United States. France has more than 250. In 2018, Mitch McConnell, one of the most anti-marijuana senators in America, signed the Farm Bill legalizing hemp. He used a hemp pen. McConnell's motivation was not ideology. Kentucky farmers needed alternatives to declining tobacco revenue. He put himself on the conference committee and pushed the bill through. Hemp was removed from Schedule 1 for the first time since 1970. Licensed acreage exploded from 78,000 acres to over 511,000 in a single year, a 455% increase. In 2024, the International Code Council published Appendix BL, Hemp Lime Construction, in the International Residential Code. It was the first time hempcrete appeared in U.S. building code. Austin, Texas became the first major city to adopt it in July 2025. Minnesota adopted it statewide. The first hempcrete home in America was completed in Asheville, North Carolina in 2010. 3,400 square feet at $133 per square foot. It later sold for $685,000. In Idaho, Hempitecture, founded from a college senior thesis, made the Forbes 30 Under 30 list and opened a Department of Energy-supported manufacturing facility in 2024. In Minnesota, the Lower Sioux Indian community has been building hempcrete homes since 2016. They opened a $6.2 million facility in 2024, reporting construction costs 20% lower than conventional building. 3 fire-rated hempcrete wall assemblies were approved for addition to the building code at the October 2025 ICC meeting. The material is no longer theoretical. It is being built. We keep learning the same lesson, and we keep forgetting it. Roman concrete was lost for 1,300 years after Rome fell. Hempcrete was banned for 81 years by American drug policy. Both use lime. Both get stronger over time. Both were replaced by Portland cement, a material that sets faster, costs less, and lasts a fraction as long. Osage orange fenced the Great Plains for a generation. It was replaced by wire that rusts in 20 years. American chestnut was better than oak. It was erased by a fungus nobody checked for. Hempcrete is fireproof, carbon negative, and literally turns to stone. It was classified alongside heroin, while France built 250 houses with it. The pattern is always the same. A material that works for centuries gets replaced by one that profits for decades. The Romans understood lime. We forgot. Twice. Somewhere in Normandy, a bridge built with hemp and lime in 500 AD is still carrying traffic across the Sarthe River. It has survived Vikings, 2 world wars, and a demolition order. In a lab in Pennsylvania, a hempcrete wall just survived 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit. The far side stayed cool to the touch. The chemistry is identical. Lime absorbs carbon dioxide, converts to calcium carbonate, turns back to stone, and gets stronger every year. The Romans knew. The Merovingians knew. The builders at Elora knew. Now it is legal. The question is whether anyone will build with it before we forget again.